Alright, what's up guys? So this is the build. It's nothing special. I got some life on there. Found this thing. It's not that great. 64 life, 15 resistance. Soul Eater is really much irrelevant. This just is moving speed with some cold resist, some dex. Found this shitty ass ring. Found this shitty ass ring. Resistance, little life or intelligence. This is not bad. I bought it for, I think, an alchemy orb, maybe a chaos, I can't remember. It's just 10% all, but plus 4 maximum all resist is where the awesomeness comes in. So I can get up to, eventually I'll be at 79% since I just killed Katava. It's negative 20, so my resists aren't that hot right now, but they'll be easily fixed once I get some decent rings. This thing, not that great. I get about 41% increased fire damage. And some projectile speed. That's about it for my fireballs. Mind Spiral, I get gain 9% of maximum mana as extra maximum energy shield, which isn't that great. I don't have that much energy shield, but it's a nice cushion for my life total until I get a little bit more life on my items. It increases my cold lightning damage, which is pretty much irrelevant, and the damage I take is leeches mana, which is kind of nice because then I have Mind over Matter here, so 30% of the damage I take is taken from mana before life. So I take damage, 5% of that damage is healed to my mana, and 30% of the damage I take is taken from my mana, so it's kind of a good combo there. This thing I found at like level 1, and I just haven't actually found anything that can replace it yet. I have not found a single decent amulet with life and resistance on it, so I've just been rolling with it. The dex is nice for greater multiple projectiles. Projectile speed and the projectile damage are also nice. The main setup here is the Storm Burst with cast while channeling. I've got a fireball in there, faster casting, so I shoot my Storm Burst a little bit faster. Controlled destruction, 40% more spell damage, so that helps a lot, and then greater multiple projectiles. The reason fireball is so good is because I had this jewel, 2 of them, the fireball gains radius as they travel further, up to 4 radius. I have 2 of those, so they get plus 8 radius, so their AoE is huge already, and then I have taken passive points that increase the area effect, so that my fireballs, where's that other jewel at? God bless, there it is. And then I have the increased radius stuff all here, as well as my in my ascendancy, I get 100% increased elemental damage and 25% increased area of effect. So I have a ton of extra area of effect on top of that base radius. You can see Fireball right there has a plus 2 to radius right now. With those 2 gems, it's plus 10 to radius, and then you multiply that by about 2 because of all the increased area I have. So 20 radius. So it's basically the whole screen, as you saw earlier. That's about it for the build. I mean, it's just I do a ton of area damage, and the fireballs overlap when they shoot, so that you can see that if something's right next to the wall there, it's taking a ton of damage because it's all 5 fireballs exploding in it. It can only be hit if you have greater multiple projectiles. A creature can only be hit by 1 cast, so 1 fireball actually only hits them, but it can be hit by all the explosion damage, which is very good for me. For setups, I'm just running a Storm Burst, and then I have projectile weakness. It knocks them back. I'm shooting so many projectiles at once, like I can just push everything back super far, and they take more damage from projectiles, which both Storm Burst and Fireball are. Additionally, I have the passive skill, Elemental Overload, so if I get a critical strike, I get 40% more element damage for 8 seconds. So I simply have in here, linked up Power Charge, Critical Orb Storms, and increased critical strike chance. So I just throw that down and get some hits, and I get a 40% damage bonus. I also have my movement skill, Lightning Warp with faster casting and less duration, because if you have less duration on Lightning Warp, you move even faster.
You want something?
Got a golem. The last little piece of this puzzle right here is these 2 things. Elemental Equilibrium. When I hit an enemy with an elemental resistance, they get plus 25% resistance to that element and negative 50% to other things. So I hit them with a couple storm bursts, they get negative 50% fire damage, and then the fire comes out. And I'm just constantly swapping back and forth between those two because I'm just shooting. It updates dynamically. It's very impressive. The last is Mastermind Discord. Damage penetrates 25% fire resistance if you use a lightning skill in the last 10 seconds. That's the very bottom there. If you when you read that, damage penetrates 25% fire resistance. Look at this. I'm using a lightning spell non-stop. And if you'll see right here, fire resistance penetration, 25%. So I'm ignoring 25% of my enemy's fire resistance, and they are taking negative 50% fire resistance. This equates to about a lot of extra damage, depending on how much fire resistance they have. If they have 20, they go to negative 30, and then I ignore another 25%. So they go to negative 55. So that's a basically double damage dealer right there. That's about all for the build. It's really fun, and I did find one Exalted Orb. I got pretty lucky, and then I bought this white, and I was able to put the correct gem setups, and I was using that. Before I was using a Tabula Rasa that I found at the very beginning of the game. I was very lucky. After I switched over, I tried to use a Val Orb on it to get +1 gems, so maybe I could sell it for a ton of cash. It didn't work out for me, but it's still a Tabula in the end. If you guys got any questions, leave a comment. Thanks. How do I turn this thing off?